They thought it was your face, but it was your frequency. Wait, how are you that age and still glowing like that? You've heard it before. The surprised tone, the disbelief, the compliments wrapped in confusion. They think it's your skincare, your clean eating, your lucky genetics, but let's be real. What they're seeing isn't just your skin, it's your spirit. It's the energy behind your eyes, the peace in your presence, the vibration in your voice. It's the fact that life tried to break you, but your soul refused to wrinkle. Carl Jung once said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And guess what? You've been doing the terrifying inner work. You've been confronting your shadows. You've been shedding generational weight. You've been choosing healing over hiding. That's what they're picking up on, and even if they can't explain it. You don't look young. You feel aligned. And alignment has no age. Purpose doesn't age. Peace doesn't age. That timeless glow you carry, it's not about products or perfection. It's about resonance. It's about frequency. It's about the deep psychological signature you've carved into your being through pain, healing, resilience, and rebirth. So today, we're not giving skincare tips. We're revealing 7 deep psychological reasons why your soul refuses to age. This isn't about beauty. It's about inner mastery. This isn't a compliment. It's a clue to your growth, your evolution, your rising. Let's begin. Because you're not just aging. You're ascending. Chapter 1. Your soul refuses to break. There are people in this world who carry a glow that doesn't make sense. You look at them and think, they've barely aged. But if you knew their story, you'd wonder how they even survived. Because behind that peaceful smile, there's a storm they've mastered. Carl Jung didn't believe the human psyche was fragile. He believed it was a furnace, one that forges true character through heat, pressure, and pain. So when someone tells you that you look young, understand what they're really seeing. They're seeing a soul that refused to break. They're seeing someone who was burned but not bitter, wounded but not warped, tested but not torn apart. You see, youthfulness isn't just about skin. It's about resilience. It's about the quiet strength of someone who's been to the edge of their own darkness and came back with the light. Let's talk facts. Stress ages you. Not just emotionally, biologically, cellular damage, hormonal imbalances, accelerated aging. It's science. Suppressed trauma is stored in the body. As tension, inflammation, fatigue, and yes, invisible aging. But now let's talk about you. You didn't run from your pain. You didn't numb it with fake positivity. You sat in the fire. You asked, what is this trying to teach me? And that question alone, that sacred curiosity, changed your chemistry. Because healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet choice to stay soft after being broken. You've had nights where your pillow held more tears than dreams. Mornings where getting out of bed felt like a war. Conversations where your voice cracked because you were holding back an ocean of grief. But you kept going. And every time you chose reflection over reaction, growth over resentment, love over ego, your soul healed. And every time your soul healed, your body relaxed, your face softened, your energy elevated. That is why you radiate differently. Because emotional resilience isn't invisible, it echoes through your walk, your words, your presence. You stopped asking why me, and started asking who, what now. You stopped repeating patterns and started rewriting legacies. You didn't just survive, you transformed. That's why you look younger. Because you're not carrying the emotional weight of unhealed decades. People carry their past in their posture, in their jaw tension, in their tired eyes. But not you. You chose to release. You chose to reprogram. You chose to return to your true self over and over again. You didn't avoid the pain. You alchemized it. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And you made the unconscious conscious. You chose awareness over autopilot, courage over comfort, and healing over hiding. So when they say you look young, don't just say thank you. Know this. You look young because your soul stopped aging the moment it started awakening. That's not a skincare routine. That's shadow work. That's integration. That's a soul that said, I will not die in pieces, I will rise whole. And that will always glow. Chapter 2. You flow with change. Most people spend their lives trying to cling to who they were, trying to freeze a version of themselves in time, the job title, the relationship, the identity they outgrew 10 years ago. And then they wonder why their bodies feel heavy, why their faces look tired, why life feels stuck. Here's the truth. Stagnation ages you. Resistance breaks you. But flow keeps you ageless. Carl Jung once said, "We meet ourselves time and time again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. And those who remain youthful, even in their 40s, 50s, 60s, are not lucky. They're fluid. They're not holding on to who they used to be. They're open to who they're becoming. They're not afraid to start over, to unlearn, to pivot, to say, that version of me served a purpose, but I've evolved." That takes courage. That takes emotional maturity. That takes deep inner freedom. Because here's what nobody tells you. Holding on to a past identity isn't strength. It's spiritual suffocation. Pretending you're still who you were at 25 will age your spirit faster than time ever could. But you shed, you shift, you surrender. And that surrender isn't weakness. It's wisdom. You've learned how to let go of relationships that expired, dreams that evolved, and versions of you that no longer fit the mission. And every time you did, your body felt it. Your nervous system relaxed, your face softened, your energy lifted. Because when your soul is not at war with change, your body doesn't carry the tension of that resistance. That's why you still feel alive. Because you don't fear becoming, you welcome it. You understand that life is not a static role you master. It's a continuous dance with evolution. You've stopped saying, "I don't know who I am anymore," like it's a bad thing. Now you say it like it's a sacred opportunity, because not knowing is where the magic begins. Not knowing is where reinvention starts. Not knowing is where youth lives. People who age fast, they resist. They force themselves to be the same person every year, every decade, even when their soul is begging for a new chapter. But you evolve. You don't just go through life. You let life move through you. That makes you fluid, free, fearless, and the body reflects that truth. When your soul is supple, your skin follows. When your identity is elastic, your aura glows. When your ego isn't clinging, your essence stays fresh, light, open. Because youth isn't about age, it's about adaptability. It's about how willing you are to meet the next version of yourself. So the next time someone says, "You've changed," say, "Thank you." Because that's the goal, not to stay the same, but to keep growing until the day you leave this earth. And as long as you stay in flow, as long as you keep becoming, you'll never truly grow old, because the soul that welcomes change is the soul that never decays. Chapter 3. You stay curious. There's something magnetic about people who never stop asking why. They could be 30 or 70, and still their eyes light up like a child seeing magic for the first time. That spark? It's not naivety, it's curiosity. And it's one of the most powerful anti-aging forces in existence. Carl Jung believed the curious mind was constantly in dialogue with the soul. He saw curiosity not as mere intellect, but as spiritual vitality, a sign that the psyche is still expanding, still stretching, still becoming. And people who carry that energy, they don't grow old. Because when the mind stays alive, the soul stays awake and the body follows. Look at people who seem lifeless in their 30s. Same job, same complaints, same beliefs, same routines. They haven't just aged. They've stopped growing, because here's the brutal truth: when your mind stagnates, your soul shrinks. When your soul shrinks, your energy dims. And when your energy dims, you start to decay from the inside out. But you ask questions, you stay curious, you read between the lines, you don't just scroll, and you search. And that search? It's sacred. You explore new ideas, you challenge old beliefs, you dive into books, podcasts, conversations, journals, not for entertainment but for expansion. You're not satisfied with surface-level answers. You want depth, you want why, you want truth. And that hunger, it keeps your spirit dancing, because a curious soul is a living soul, and a living soul will always radiate youth. Children are curious by default. They ask 1,000 questions. Their eyes are wide, their minds open, their hearts soft. The people who stay young, they never lose that. They don't let the world harden them into cynicism. They don't replace wonder with ego. They don't act like they've seen it all. Instead, they wake up every day like a student of life, ready to discover something new about the world or about themselves. That mindset, it heals you because curiosity leads to growth. Growth leads to purpose. Purpose leads to energy. And energy is what keeps the light in your eyes. The people who glow in every room, they're not chasing trends. They're chasing truth. They ask deeper questions like, why do I react this way? What am I still holding on to? What belief is limiting me right now? Who am I becoming? That kind of curiosity isn't casual. It's spiritual work. It opens doors. It unlocks healing. It frees you from old programming. So if you still get excited to learn, if you still pause and wonder, if you still ask uncomfortable questions, you are not aging. You're evolving. You are not decaying. You are deepening. Because curiosity isn't just about information. It's about aliveness. And when the soul is alive, the face glows, the aura expands, the body responds. So stay curious, ask big questions, wonder deeply, because curiosity is the flame. And your spirit? It's still dancing in the fire. Chapter 4. You let your emotions move through you. You know what really ages people? It's not just time, it's emotional constipation. It's the tears they swallowed, the screams they silenced, the truths they buried to keep the peace. Carl Jung said it best. Emotion that is not expressed will never die. It will surface later in uglier ways. And those uglier ways? They show up as anxiety, anger, tension, fatigue, and yes, visible aging. Because unprocessed emotion doesn't vanish, it clings. It lodges itself in the body, in the shoulders, in the gut, in the jaw, in the nervous system, and over time, it hardens the face, dims the eyes, and slows the spirit. But here's the beautiful truth. Emotion is not the enemy. Suppression is. You weren't designed to hold it all together. You were designed to let it flow. People who glow from the inside out, they've learned how to feel without fear. They cry. They grieve. They speak the truth, even when it shakes. They let anger move through them without guilt. They laugh so hard they snort, and they don't apologize for it. And guess what? That emotional expression is sacred hygiene for the soul. Because what you don't release, you begin to rot in. You've seen it. The person who smiles but their eyes are empty. The one who says I'm fine but their body screams otherwise. The one who's aged 10 years in 1 year, not because of age, but because of what they're carrying. But you? You've learned the art of release. You don't fake the smile when your soul is cracking. You don't wear masks to be accepted. You don't shove grief in a closet and pretend it's over. You sit with it. You breathe through it. You honor it. You give yourself permission to feel even when the world tells you to be strong. And that emotional fluency is the reason your spirit is still light. Because every tear released is a burden lifted. Every truth spoken is a wrinkle prevented. Every emotion felt and freed is a life extended. People think staying calm means suppressing emotion, but real calm isn't the absence of feeling. It's the flow of feeling without fear. You've made peace with your inner storms. And that peace, it shows. In your body, in your skin, in your walk, in your voice. You're not dragging decades of suppressed pain behind you like a shadow. You've learned how to let it move through you, like a wave that crashes, cleanses, and clears. That's why you glow. Because your body isn't just surviving. It's thriving in emotional truth. So if you still cry easily, don't apologize. That's emotional wisdom. If you laugh loud, sing randomly, or speak from your gut, don't shrink. That's your soul doing housekeeping. Let the emotion move. Because the soul that flows stays young forever. Chapter 5. You protect your energy. There's a reason you feel lighter than most. There's a reason your skin glows even when life gets hard. There's a reason people say you look younger than your age. And it has nothing to do with luck. It's because you've learned a skill that most never master, energy protection. Carl Jung didn't just study the mind, He studied psychic energy, the unseen life force that flows through every thought, every emotion, every interaction. And he warned, "Where your energy goes, your life follows." Now look around. The world is full of energy thieves, the chronic complainer who dumps their misery on your spirit, the manipulator who plays victim just to keep you emotionally hooked, the drama addict who can't survive without chaos and pulls you into it like quicksand. And every time you absorb that poison, you pay with your peace, you pay with your vitality, you pay with your youth. Make no mistake, energy is biology. You're not just emotionally drained, you're cellularly stressed. Your immune system weakens, your nervous system tightens, your face tightens, your body starts to prematurely collapse under emotional weight. But you learn the art of energetic self-respect. You no longer allow your spirit to be an open door. You say no, not out of selfishness, but out of self-preservation. You walk away from conversations that feel heavy. You unplug from environments that suffocate your light. You limit access to people who confuse chaos with connection, because you finally realized not everyone deserves a front-row seat to your soul. You've replaced proving yourself with protecting yourself. You've replaced people-pleasing with energy-preserving. And that shift, it saved your spirit. You've curated your environment like medicine, nature instead of noise, books instead of gossip, stillness instead of stimulation, people who pour into you, not pull from you. That shift alone will add years to your life because peace is the fountain of youth. Your body doesn't have to fight 10 emotional wars a day anymore. It can rest, it can regulate, it can rejuvenate. That's why your skin clears up, that's why your shoulders feel lighter. That's why your eyes don't look tired anymore, because when your environment becomes sacred, your face becomes the reflection of that sacredness. You stopped apologizing for needing space. You stopped feeling guilty for saying no. You stopped tolerating people who drain you, no matter how long you've known them. And guess what? Your aura thanks you, your body thanks you, your future self thanks you, because you've built boundaries like walls around your garden. And only those who water your soul are allowed inside. You're not glowing because of some product. You're glowing because you're no longer leaking energy. So if you want to stay youthful, stop counting calories, start counting emotional intrusions. Start protecting your vibe like it's sacred, because it is. Carl Jung believed your psyche is sacred architecture. So why would you let anyone graffiti it with toxicity? You've chosen differently. And that choice? It's written all over your face. Chapter 6. You wake up with purpose. There is nothing more aging than waking up and not knowing why you're alive. You may eat the cleanest diet. You may sleep 8 hours. You may take all the supplements. But if your soul is starving for purpose, no pill can save you. Carl Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Why terrifying? Because once you truly accept yourself, you're faced with a responsibility. To live in alignment. To stop wasting your gift. To stop hiding behind excuses, comfort, and survival. And that shift, from drifting to driven, changes everything. Here's a truth most people never hear. Apathy kills faster than disease. People who live without meaning, they walk through life like ghosts. Their eyes dull, their energy fades. Their bodies begin to deteriorate, not because of time, but because of emptiness. But you chose something different. You chose mission over mediocrity. You chose to wake up and ask, what can I create today? You chose to use your pain as fuel, your voice as service, your gifts as contribution. And that sense of inner purpose, it floods your biology with life-giving chemicals. This isn't spiritual fluff, it's science. When you're aligned with purpose, your brain releases dopamine, the molecule of motivation. You get hits of serotonin, the chemistry of confidence and joy. Your cortisol levels drop. Your inflammation decreases. Your body literally begins to regenerate at a cellular level. Because purpose is not just a mental experience, it's a biochemical miracle. You don't just light up emotionally, you heal physically. That's why people on a mission seem to defy aging. Their days may be full, but their souls are fed. Their lives are demanding, but their hearts are on fire. They may get tired, but they never feel empty, because they're not waking up to chase money, clout, or approval. They're waking up to become the highest version of themselves. And when you're in that flow, when every day is a step toward destiny, you don't have time to decay. You're too busy becoming. Your body senses it, your cells feel it, your aura responds to it. That's why you don't just look younger. You feel more alive than people half your age. Because nothing preserves the soul like passion. Nothing strengthens the body like meaning. And nothing activates the divine in you like a clear why. So if you've ever wondered why people say you radiate, look at how you live. You move with intention. You speak with conviction. You give with depth. You rise with purpose. And that purpose? It's the fountain of youth you've been carrying all along. Because when your life has direction, your soul has fire, and when your soul is on fire, you never truly grow old. Chapter 7. You let go of the past. You can spot it in seconds, the face that's still carrying yesterday, the eyes clouded with what never got healed, the posture that bends under the weight of memories never released. They're not just aging, they're holding on to what life already tried to take away. Carl Jung taught that the shadow, our rejected, repressed parts, doesn't disappear, it hides. It waits, and until we face it, it runs the show. He warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And the people who age the fastest? They never face it. They carry guilt in their spine, regret in their jaw, bitterness in their bloodstream. They replay arguments in their mind like broken records. They rehearse old pain, relive betrayal, resurrect shame, all while telling the world, I'm fine. But the body never lies. Because when the soul holds on, the body holds tension. And over time, that tension turns into stress wrinkles, shallow breathing, tight muscles, disrupted sleep, a face that looks like it's been through war, because emotionally it has. But those who look younger than their years, they've done something radical. They've made peace with their past. They've said, I'm not dragging old versions of me into new seasons of my life. They've looked their trauma in the eye, they've wept, they've screamed, they've sat in silence and let the grief move through them like a storm. And then, they released it. Not by pretending it didn't happen, but by refusing to be defined by it. They stopped blaming, they stopped replaying, they stopped shrinking their present to accommodate their unhealed past. They didn't just forgive others, they forgave themselves. That's what clears the face, that's what lifts the energy. That's what returns the soul to lightness, because when you release the pain, you reclaim your power. And the soul, when it feels light again, gives permission to the body to breathe, to heal, to glow. Letting go isn't forgetting. It's remembering without relapsing. It's honoring without attaching. It's learning without looping. You want to know why you look younger than your pain? Because you made your past a lesson, not a life sentence. You made your wounds sacred. You let the shadow speak, and you listened instead of running. You held your inner child and said, you're safe now. You don't have to survive anymore. And that kind of healing, it's not cosmetic, it's cellular, it's spiritual. Because nothing softens the body like a soul that's no longer at war with itself. You let go, you moved on, you became. And every cell in your body reflects that transformation. That's not skincare, that's self-liberation. So if you still cry over things you thought you were done with, good. It means you're brave enough to finish the release. It means you're still letting go of what no longer serves your spirit. And every time you do, your soul softens, your face brightens, your energy rises. Because the past doesn't age you. Holding on to it does. You want to stay youthful? Then do what most never dare, release the ghost, hug the shadow, and choose peace again and again, because when the soul is light, time has no grip on you. Chapter 8. You radiate authenticity, not perfection. Let's make one thing clear, perfection is plastic, authenticity is magnetic. You can spot the difference from across a room. Perfection is tight, forced, filtered, and exhausting to maintain. Authenticity is relaxed, open, raw, and impossible to fake. And people who chase perfection? They age themselves trying to look like something they're not. They surgically erase flaws, emotionally edit their truth, and spiritually disconnect from their real self, all in the name of image. But no matter how smooth the skin is, if the soul is stiff, you feel it. Carl Jung warned us, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not a projection, not a mask, not an avatar built for applause. You. And that's the real secret of people who seem to age in reverse. They're not wasting energy performing. They're not consumed by, how do I look? They're rooted in, who am I becoming? Because nothing is more youthful than being real. Nothing makes your aura glow like congruence, when your thoughts, words, emotions, and values all line up. That kind of integrity, it gives you peace. And peace is anti-aging medicine. You're not constantly second-guessing yourself. You're not walking on eggshells trying to fit into other people's expectations. You're not draining your energy polishing a fake version of yourself. Instead, you walk in rooms as you. You speak your truth without rehearsing. You express not to impress, but to connect. That's why people feel drawn to you. Because you're real in a world addicted to pretending, and the body knows. Faking causes tension. Masking creates emotional friction. Performing burns more energy than being. But when you drop the act, your nervous system relaxes, your breath deepens, your face softens. That's why you look younger. Because you're not spending 80% of your energy managing how you're perceived, you're living in your truth, raw, unfiltered, and unapologetic. You're not perfect, but you're whole. You're not flawless, but you're free. And that kind of freedom? It leaves a glow that no product can replicate. You've stopped filtering your feelings, you've stopped hiding your quirks, you've stopped playing roles that suffocate your spirit. And every time you own your story, every time you stand in your truth, every time you say, this is me, no performance, no polish, just presence, you send a signal to the universe, I'm done pretending, I'm here to be real. And the universe responds by flooding your life with peace, power, and presence that radiates from within. So no, you don't need to look perfect, you need to be honest, because perfection ages, but authenticity glows. Chapter 9. You nourish your inner world more than your outer one. In a world obsessed with surface, you chose to go deeper. While others chase trends, you chase truth. While they decorate the outside, you renovate the inside. And that, right there, is one of the deepest secrets behind your glow. You've nourished the soil, not just the skin. Because real youth doesn't come from a mirror. It comes from the mindset you wake up with, from the emotions you honor, from the spiritual alignment you live by. You've seen it, haven't you? The person who wears all the right clothes but radiates emptiness. The one with flawless skin but tired energy. The beautiful person who still feels cold to be around. That's what happens when people invest in the shell and ignore the substance. Carl Jung believed your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. He said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. And you've done that. You've looked inward, faced the dust, planted the seeds, watered your wounds, sat with your soul in silence and said, what do you need? That inner care, it transformed you. You started feeding your mind truth, not gossip. You started feeding your soul stillness, not stimulation. You started feeding your spirit connection, not comparison. And little by little, the inside began to shine through. Your body relaxed, your energy lifted. Your skin changed, and not because of a cream, but because of the calm you cultivated. Most people chase appearance, but appearance fades. You chose to build character, and character radiates forever. Because what good is a pretty face if the heart is starving? What good is looking young if the soul is withering from neglect? You've learned that youth isn't about tight skin. It's about an unburdened spirit. You laugh more, you forgive faster, you think deeper, you love harder, not because life's been easy, but because you've made it meaningful. You take care of your thoughts the way others take care of their skincare routines. You cleanse your mind. You exfoliate old beliefs. You moisturize your soul with truth, joy, and wisdom. That's why you shine. Because you're not just putting on masks, you're removing them. You're not just brushing up your image, you're nourishing your essence. That kind of beauty can't be bought. It's grown. From the inside, one choice at a time. So the next time someone says, you look amazing, so what's your secret? Smile. Because your secret isn't a serum. It's soul work. You glow because your inner world is fed, nurtured, and alive. And a nourished soul will always show up on the skin. Chapter 10. Your energy speaks before you walk into a room, and heads turn, not because of how you look, but because of how you feel. before you say a word. Your energy already introduced you. And that is what people don't understand about the ones who glow. It's not the clothes, not the makeup, not the gym membership. It's the frequency they carry, the calm in their aura, the clarity in their vibration. Carl Jung believed that we are all surrounded by a subtle field, a psychic energy that communicates who we truly are, even when our lips are silent. And when that field is clear, grounded, healed, people feel it, without explanation. You've felt it before too, haven't you? You meet someone and instantly feel safe. You sit near someone and feel drained. You shake a hand, and your intuition whispers, "Leave." That's not magic. That's energy literacy. And you've mastered your field. You've cleared the noise. You've cut the cords. You've pulled your power back from all the places and people you once gave it away to. You've stopped apologizing for being too sensitive. Because now, you understand, sensitivity isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the ability to read a room without a single word. And now, your energy speaks volumes. It says, "I've healed. I've done the shadow work. I know who I am. I protect my peace. I walk with intention, not insecurity." That kind of energy. Undeniable. That's why people feel something when they're around you, even if they can't explain it. They say things like, "You're so calming to be around. You have such good energy. I feel better just talking to you." And it's not because you're performing, it's because you're aligned. You don't walk into rooms trying to prove yourself. You walk in with the quiet confidence of someone who's done the inner work. You don't shrink to make others comfortable. You don't dim your truth to blend in. You don't wear masks to fit roles. You're real, you're present, you're tuned in. And your energy announces that before you ever speak. That's what keeps you youthful. Because when your energy is clean, your body doesn't carry tension. Your face doesn't hold stress. Your spirit doesn't feel heavy. You're not exhausted trying to manage impressions. You're flowing. You've done the clearing. You've chosen alignment over approval. You've chosen authenticity over attention. You've chosen presence over perfection. And that inner choice, it's what people feel first before they ever see your smile or hear your words. Because your vibe is no longer chaotic. It's composed. It's sacred. It's magnetic. You don't just enter a room, you shift it. That's the ultimate anti-aging energy. Not youth in skin, but youth in spirit. Not the absence of wrinkles, but the absence of inner war. So protect that energy like it's gold, because it speaks for you before anything else ever will. And when your energy is right, you don't chase anything. You attract everything. Chapter 11. You live in alignment with your higher self. At some point on this journey, you stopped asking, "What do people expect from me?" and started asking, "What does my soul expect from me?" That's the moment you aligned. And from that moment on, you weren't living by default. You were living by design, a design written not by culture, parents, or fear, but by your higher self. Carl Jung called this the process of individuation, the sacred unfolding of your true self, beyond masks, conditioning, and shadows. Most people never reach that point. They live entire lives performing for others. They sacrifice authenticity for acceptance. They trade their voice for validation, and in doing so, they age fast. Because nothing drains the soul faster than living out of alignment. But you did something most people fear. You met your higher self, and you listened. You started following what felt true, even when it scared you. You stopped betraying your intuition just to fit in. You made choices not from the ego, but from inner knowing. And slowly, your life started to shift. You found peace in silence, power in solitude, direction in discomfort, freedom in letting go. And most importantly, you started becoming someone you actually recognize. That alignment, it changes everything. Your sleep improves, your face relaxes, your mood elevates, your presence deepens. Because when your actions reflect your essence, you stop leaking energy. You stop splitting yourself between who you are and who you pretend to be. You stop living two lives and start embodying one truth. That kind of clarity. It makes you magnetic, it makes you light, It makes you ageless. Because the most youthful people in the world aren't always the youngest. They're the most aligned. They're the ones who walk like they know who they are, who speak like their voice is sacred, who live like every breath is a prayer. They don't have to try to glow. They are the glow. Because alignment is the most powerful cosmetic in existence. You don't need to find yourself. You need to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And every time you do something that aligns with your highest self, every boundary you set, every truth you speak, every pattern you break, every time you choose soul over ego, you get younger, not in years, but in vibration, in lightness, in power. So keep aligning, keep shedding, keep rising, because your higher self isn't a concept, it's your original state. And the more you live from that space, the less this world can touch your soul. Because a person in alignment is untouchable, unshakable, and yes, unageable. Chapter 12. You choose love, not fear. If there's one choice that rewires your entire energy field, it's this: choosing love over fear. Again, and again, and again. Not the kind of love that's soft and sentimental, but the kind of love that's brave, raw, uncompromising. Carl Jung taught that fear is rooted in the ego, but love is the language of the soul. And the moment you start choosing love, real, grounded, intentional love, you start vibrating differently. You start healing faster, attracting differently, aging slower, because fear is tension and love is flow. Fear closes the heart. Love expands it. Fear keeps you small. Love says, I trust myself enough to grow. Look at people who live in fear. They hold back their truth. They doubt their worth. They sabotage good things. They cling, control, overthink, and burn out. Their bodies reflect it. Tight jaws, heavy eyes, hunched backs, restless sleep. Because fear doesn't just sit in the mind, it sits in the cells. But you've learned how to transcend fear. You've learned to let love lead. Love for yourself, the kind that says, I don't have to earn rest or prove my value. Love for others, even when they don't understand you. Love for your life, even when it's messy, uncertain, or in progress. That choice doesn't just change your energy, it changes your entire biology. Because love reduces cortisol, it boosts oxytocin, it regulates your nervous system, it keeps your heart open, your face soft, your soul vibrant. That's why you seem to glow without effort. You've stopped living in survival mode. You've stopped reacting from wounds. You've stopped choosing fear-based stories like, I'm not enough. They'll leave me. What if I fail? And instead you've started choosing, I am safe in who I am. I trust my path. Even if I fall, I will rise higher. Love has become your operating system. And love? Love is eternal. Fear ages. Love awakens. Fear limits. Love liberates. Every time you choose love, you're not just healing your heart. You're rewiring your body. You're lifting your frequency. You're reversing time in ways science is only beginning to understand. So yes, you look younger, you feel lighter, you radiate peace. Because love doesn't just change how you feel, it changes who you become. And the person you've become? That's the real fountain of youth. Chapter 13. You embody stillness in a noisy world. In a world addicted to speed, noise, and constant stimulation, stillness becomes your superpower. While everyone else is running, chasing validation, scrolling endlessly, multitasking their souls into exhaustion, you've chosen a different path. You pause, you breathe, you listen. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious speaks in silence, that the soul doesn't scream, it whispers, and only those brave enough to be still can hear what it's been trying to say all along. Stillness isn't laziness, it's inner mastery. It's choosing peace over panic, presence over productivity, essence over ego. And people who carry that kind of energy, they age slowly because they're not in a war with time. They've stepped out of the race. They know rushing isn't success, hustling isn't alignment, overthinking isn't intelligence. They've made peace their baseline, and guess what? Peace preserves you. Most people are overstimulated and underconnected. They wake up to noise and fall asleep to anxiety. Their nervous system is fried. Their breath is shallow. Their body is tired from carrying the weight of 1,000 open tabs in their mind. But you You've chosen silence as medicine. You meditate, you sit in nature, you turn off your phone. You create sacred pauses in the middle of the chaos. And in those pauses, you return to yourself. You process, you integrate. You come back stronger, clearer, softer. That's why your energy feels safe. That's why people say you're easy to be around. That's why you don't look your age. Because stress accelerates aging. But stillness regenerates you. Stillness is not the absence of action. It's the presence of clarity. Stillness sharpens your intuition. It softens your heart. It protects your energy like armor. And when your energy is calm, your body listens, your heartbeat slows, your digestion improves, your hormones stabilize, your skin clears up, your entire system returns to balance, because stillness is the soul's way of saying, I'm safe here. So while the world spirals in distraction, you become the eye of the storm, unmoved, unshaken, untouched by chaos. That stillness isn't emptiness, it's power. And that power, it radiates from your face, your body, your voice, from every cell that remembers what it's like to feel safe inside your own being. So if people wonder how you stay so grounded, so calm, so light, tell them the truth. I've stopped performing. I've stopped chasing. I've learned the art of being still. And in stillness, I found everything. And that is why your soul refuses to age. Chapter 14. You choose your vibration, not your conditions. Here's a truth most people never realize until it's too late. You don't age because of what happens to you. You age because of how you hold it inside. Stress is inevitable, but suffering, that's vibrational. And the people who remain youthful, not just in their face but in their energy, their laugh, their light, are those who've mastered this rare power. They choose their vibration, not their conditions. Carl Jung believed that the psyche is not just shaped by external events, but by our internal response to those events. And that response creates your energetic signature. Most people don't know this, but every single thought, emotion, and belief vibrates at a frequency. Guilt, heavy, anger, tense, fear, slow, joy, expansive, gratitude, magnetic, peace, timeless. And every day, through your thoughts, your choices, your focus, you are either raising or lowering your vibration. That vibration shows up in your nervous system, your aura, your voice, your face, your posture, your presence. And over time, it shows up in your aging. People who constantly react to life, who give away their peace to every delay, every insult, every disappointment, are people who unconsciously destroy their own vitality. They become victims of their environment, prisoners of their past, slaves to their triggers. But you've reclaimed your power of choice. You've learned to respond with consciousness, not emotion. You don't let negativity enter your body like poison. You don't let fear hijack your breath. You don't let chaos override your clarity, because you've discovered this golden truth. The world can't lower your vibration unless you let it. You've trained yourself to choose better. You choose presence when your mind wants to panic. You choose laughter when your heart wants to shut down. You choose reflection when your ego wants to fight. You choose elevation when others choose drama. And that choice, it rewires your chemistry. It regulates your heart. It slows the clock. Because youth is not about age. It's about how high you vibrate under pressure. You've stopped saying, look what they did to me, and started asking, what vibration do I want to carry through this? That question alone makes you ageless, because every time you choose peace over panic, forgiveness over fire, stillness over stimulation, gratitude over guilt, you lighten, you soften, you ascend. And that ascension shows up in your glow, not because your life is easy, but because your vibration is sovereign. You no longer hand the remote control of your frequency to the world. You've taken it back. You've learned how to tune yourself like an instrument. And the sound you play, it's harmony, it's healing, it's youth. So the next time someone says, how are you so calm, so grounded, so vibrant, even after everything? You tell them the truth. I choose my energy, and energy is everything. That choice didn't just change your mood, it changed your entire vibration. And that, my friend, is why your soul refuses to age. Chapter 15. You honor your seasons, not just your goals. Let's tell the truth most people avoid. You don't burn out because you're weak. You burn out because you're fighting your season. Carl Jung believed that the human psyche evolves in cycles, like the earth, like the moon, like the soul itself. But our culture doesn't teach you how to honor cycles. It teaches you to hustle through them, to stay productive, to never slow down, to keep pushing even when you're crumbling inside. And that right there is why people age too fast. Because you're not a robot. You're a soul in rhythm with the seasons of life. There will be seasons to build, to create, to chase, to shine. But there will also be seasons to rest, to retreat, to grieve, to reflect, to do nothing, except breathe. And when you deny those softer seasons, you don't save time, you sacrifice youth. Because forcing your soul into a season it's not ready for creates resistance. And resistance, stress. Stress, one, inflammation. And inflammation, one, aging, one, in body, mind, and energy. But you've learned the sacred art of listening. You know that winter is not death, it's incubation. You know that silence isn't laziness, it's recalibration. You know that not every pause is a failure. Sometimes it's alignment in disguise. You don't fight your season, you feel it, you move with it, you trust it. And that trust gives your body permission to exhale. That's why you don't walk around with anxiety in your chest and tension in your neck. You're not trying to stay in bloom 24/7. You understand? Flowers bloom, then they shed, trees flourish, then they let go. The moon glows full, then it fades, on purpose. Nature doesn't fear stillness. Only humans do. But you've returned to rhythm. You've stopped worshipping performance. You've started honoring presence. That shift alone has restored your soul. You've made rest a ritual. You've made recovery sacred. You've made slowing down an act of strength. That's why you age slower. Because your nervous system isn't living in panic mode. Your energy isn't frantically scattered. Your soul isn't screaming for pause. It's finally heard. So while others grind through burnout and wonder why they feel lifeless, you move like someone who is in tune with your body, your intuition, your emotions, your truth. You don't measure your worth by output anymore. You measure it by authenticity, by how deeply you live, by how honestly you move through your current season. And that honesty, that's why your glow doesn't fade, even when life gets hard. You're not just surviving, you're surrendering, not to weakness but to wisdom, because only those who honor their season can truly access timeless peace. And peace is the true anti-aging secret. Chapter 16. Your soul is lighter than your story somewhere along the way. You stopped identifying with your wounds. You stopped introducing yourself through your pain. You stopped letting your past define your present, because you realized something sacred. You are not your story, you are the soul that survived it. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." And that choice, that holy decision to become, that's the moment your soul got lighter. You stopped carrying shame like luggage. You stopped dragging guilt through every chapter. You stopped rehearsing your trauma like it was your entire identity. Because the truth is, yes, it shaped you. Yes, it marked you. But it never defined you. You are not the heartbreak. You are the healing that followed. You are not the rejection. You are the self-worth that rose from it. You are not the darkness. You are the fire that refused to go out inside it. And every time you chose to see yourself as more than what broke you, your energy shifted, your aura lightened, your face softened, your soul ascended. That's why people say you glow, because your glow isn't aesthetic. It's energetic. It's the weight you let go, the identities you released, the stories you rewrote, the forgiveness you gave, the compassion you cultivated. You stopped saying, "I am this pain," and started saying, "I hold this pain, but I am still love." That shift, that's evolution, that's transformation, that's freedom. You want to know why you look younger now? Because you're no longer aging from the inside out. You've emptied the grief. You've released the resentment. You've let go of needing the world to understand your struggle. And instead, you understand yourself. You've become your own validation, your own peace, your own medicine. You no longer perform your suffering, you alchemize it. You don't chase healing, you embody it. You don't crave being seen, you witness yourself fully. That's why your soul shines now, because your light was never lost. It was just hidden beneath the stories that were never yours to carry. And now you walk lighter. Now you speak gentler. Now you exist like a soul that's done the work. Because you have. So the next time someone asks how you've managed to glow up, tell them the truth. I stopped trying to be my story. I started becoming my light. Because that is timeless. That is unbreakable. That is unageable. That is you. Youth isn't skin deep. It's soul deep, they told you. You don't look your age. But what if that wasn't just a compliment? What if it was a confirmation? A sign that you're not just surviving. You're aligned. You're not just aging. You're awakening. Because real youth doesn't come from creams, trends, or routines. It comes from your frequency, from the way you protect your peace, from the way you speak your truth, from the way you choose light over loops, again and again. Carl Jung didn't just study the mind. He studied the shadow, so you could find your glow. So here's your mirror. Do you guard your energy like it's sacred? Do you let go of what no longer serves your soul? Do you live with fire, curiosity, and quiet rebellion? If the answer is yes, you're not aging, you're ascending. Now make it real. Type it in the comments, not for likes but for alignment. My soul is light, my youth is truth. I age on my terms. And don't keep this truth to yourself. Share this with someone who glows but forgets it. Someone who's radiant but tired. Someone who needs to hear you're not behind, you're becoming. And if this stirred something deep in you, subscribe, not for content, but for consciousness. Because youth may fade, but self-mastery, that only deepens, that only strengthens, that only gets more radiant with time. Your glow isn't accidental, it's earned, it's sacred, it's yours. Now protect it like your future depends on it, because it does.